Welcome once again here on the Regional Radio Sports Network. I am Paul Condry, the president and founder of Regional Radio Sports. Welcome to the Tony Natali Show. Coach Natali next here to my immediate left. Over on the far left, Sarah Hauck, who's a certified athletic trainer here. We'll be talking with Sarah earlier and later and throughout the program. But it's a busy time of the year, man. I tell you, I'm going 100 miles an hour because from my front, I've got football and women's volleyball on my beat. Our other guys have got soccer and all the other things that they're doing. It is just crazy on our vantage point. I know it's crazy for you because all your sports are now officially underway with cross country getting underway. But everybody off to great starts. So let's just fly over some of that. And, of course, by the time people are watching this and we get through production phases and that stuff, some things may change from a record standpoint. But every team on campus is just lights out. And I know for you who expect excellence, that's kind of in your bailiwick, if you will. Mm-hmm. This is really neat because the expectations are here, and they are achieving those expectations.
Yeah, we're getting there. I mean, it's been a great fall. It's been a very, very busy fall, like you said, so far. But with men's soccer, ranked third in the country right now in the NAI, they're having a phenomenal year. Haven't lost a match yet. So they're doing very well. Women's soccer team just having a great start and only having one setback so far, and everything else has gone really, really good for them. So it's good to see them receiving votes in the NAI national poll, which in my years I don't think has happened for a while. So it's good to see. Women's tennis receiving votes in the national poll and undefeated. So they still have 2 conference matches left, and then they head to the conference tournament. See how that goes. So men's tennis is doing well. Both our men's and women's golf teams won the NCCA regional here at Blackthorn last week. So they'll be heading to Florida here in October. So it's been good to see how they did as well. Women's volleyball off to a really good start with our first-year coach, Erica Dregitz, who's just going to be a phenomenal coach for us. We've played the top of our conference to this point and hung very, very well with them. Yep. And we're looking forward to playing the entire round now that coming up with our conference, and we'll see where that puts us.
You talk about expectations through women's volleyball. You've been through the round robin as of this week. That'll be one time through. So that's an exciting opportunity for them. And you can see the development from Erica's team because that's on my beat. And they're getting dramatically better and better. But, when you have great kids, and not to belabor an old scenario, but the amount of excitement and enjoyment you see on the girls' faces, it's absolutely amazing to me.
Yeah, and we see that all the way around. Sarah's a big part of that. They all go to the training room and hang out with them and talk to them quite a bit. But it's what we really strive for. And I heard a quote this last week where it said, "If you strive for perfection, you'll always get excellence." And I thought that was a really good quote. I like that. So that's something that I'm going to keep on remembering because we do want to strive for perfection. We know we're not going to be perfect at anything, but if we strive for that, if we make that our goal, we'll hit excellence. And that's what these teams are doing, these coaches are doing, not just in winning, but the cultures on these teams is very, very good. And, we're a huge culture institution. We try very hard to have great cultures and give these kids the best student experience we can.
I know that softball and baseball both had some fall ball coming on this past couple weekends. I know that keeps everybody busy, but also it's an opportunity for the alumni to come back. And I know they've had some of those alumni events, and it's good to see that the guys and gals are coming back to spend time here at their home institution. And I think I know it's kind of a cliche thing, Tony, but schools go into the mindset of once of this, always of this. So in this case, once a pilot, always a pilot mindset that they have, and I think that's really, really neat. I'm going to kind of veer off a beaten path because one of my favorite all-time people here at Bethel, and when it was Bethel College days, was Kevin Ulmer. Mm-hmm. Kevin Ulmer, was the women's volleyball coach, and really was the guy who was a cornerstone for me and say, "Hey, Paul, we need to get you back in volleyball. I know you did the state championships and stuff, but we need you to get here." So he invited me to come back and be a part of women's volleyball. And I know right now Kevin has been moved into hospice. He's developed cancer, and over the course of the last 3 years has really been in the fight of his life. And I know that affects all of us. I notice on Kate's post this weekend, that's something that still to this day I'm noticing how many coaches and how many people through social media are still reaching out to Kevin, even though he's not coaching here anymore. He's up at Bemidji State. But we can all be affected like that. Now, Sarah, I know you understand the whole dynamic there, so I just want to talk about when someone's here and they leave in a really, really good position to go to whatever it may be, whether it be going off into the corporate world or going into a situation where you're going to go coach elsewhere. But you've set those roots and you've set the foundation of friendship and love, and you're trying to live out what Christ would want you to. Let's talk about that as something, because we're noticing that through Kevin's life.
Yeah, for sure. And we're praying for Kevin every day and every moment of the day that God's will is done in that situation with his family. But I think what it really speaks to is what we said earlier, is the culture of what we have here and what our coaches and what our kids believe. It's amazing to me, the kids that come back later and talk about, I went to these devotions, I went to these chapels. It never really meant that much to me when I was here, but now that I've graduated, I've accepted Christ. I know what that's like, and I'm part of the Bethel family forever. And it's exactly what you're talking about. Same thing applies to coaches and staff. They're a part of what we do. They're rooted in everything every day. And even though they may move on to a business job, another coaching job, whatever it might be, they're still got the family. They're still part of the family of Bethel, and they know that we care about them deeply.
Through social media, we were able to still kind of connect the dots. It wasn't like it was 25 years ago when you and I started here. I mean, we didn't have that as an avenue. But now, I think I mentioned this to you earlier, Tanya, on our annual trek to Maine this year, we went and reconnected with Georgia Boise Hall now. And so we went and had lunch with her and had a chance to get to visit with her, pray with her, the whole 9 yards. And it's so neat to be able to be engaged with the students as well as the coaches. It makes this place, I think, ultra special in my humble opinion.
It does. And people don't realize that unless you've been here, unless you've been through it and know the daily grind that we have. But we all live together and we do life together.
Yeah.
And I think when you do that, you have your ups and your downs, but you know what this place is about, and you know the foundation. People love them, and you know that they care about them deeply. So, yeah, once you're a part of it, you're part of it.
Well, one of the things that we've tried to do with this program is to recognize some of the other people who you get a chance to work with. I get a chance to work with. Tanner gets a chance to work with, and Luke Schrock gets a chance. There are so many unsung heroes that go on about their daily lives and their work here at this institution that are really, really special. And you've got one here today, and I'd go ahead you to introduce Sarah to your team, because she's played a pivotal role in athletics here for some time now.
Yeah, we really want to highlight different people. I know last year one of the first ones we highlighted Luke Schrock, who does a great job in sports information. And the two areas, in my opinion, that are just underappreciated way more than they need to be, that just spend tireless hours being here, is sports information and our trainers. And Sarah's been our lead trainer for many, many years, and we've gone through the coaching ranks together when I was coaching, and now through the 6 years I've been an AD. But Sarah's done a phenomenal job being our head trainer, and her job has changed tremendously because we've added all these sports.
Sure.
So she now is not only in charge of all these athletes, but she has two other trainers that are under her that do a great job. We have a great training team, and Sarah's the head of that team, and she sets the tone. I check in with her all the time, but she's the one that does that and does a great job in those areas.
Sarah, one little backstory on this. At age 67, so we're going to do the math. So we're back in about 1972-ish, 73-ish. I was the last kid cut from my basketball team at Hobart. But at that point in time, we didn't have certified athletic trainers.
Right.
And so those are the kind of situations. So my head coach, Jim Lichtenberger, asked me, hey, Paul, I said, I'd like for you to stick around. We're going to need extra bodies to practice. Can you stick around? We're also going to need some help as a trainer. So they put me in a position where I was going to get a chance to learn from some of the medical people, to learn how to do, certainly not at the caliber that you're doing, but I had a chance to learn what it was like to tape ankles, to get in this, taking care of all the medical supplies, making sure we had everything on the bus and all those kind of things. But also give me a chance to practice with my teammates and my schoolmates. It also gave me the opportunity to take a look at sports from a completely different vantage point than I'd ever seen in my life. And so I have a great appreciation for trainers. My good friend Mark Lito, who's over at Hobart High School, certified athletic trainer over there. I've talked with him time and time again. And our role as broadcasters are in a very unique situation now, because in the early stages of my career, 37 years ago or so, you could go up and talk to a trainer and say, hey, listen, what happened to Billy Bob, or what happened to Peggy Sue over here? And you'll be able to know right in there. Well, that kind of stuff has gone out the window because of the HIPAA. I want to start with that one, because the freedom of information, no longer can anybody bypass that. So let's talk about privacy issues in the medical field. You're the last line of defense, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Speak to that.
Things have changed. I mean, even from when I started into athletics as an athletic trainer, we could still talk to you. And then when HIPAA came through, that line was cut off. It's all about protecting our student athletes' privacy and sharing what they only want us to share. And we have them sign a HIPAA release once a year. Gives us permission to talk to the coaches and gives us permission to talk to the school, and that's pretty much all that we can talk to.
The role between the head coach and assistant coach and you decidedly has changed, because before, and Tony, I think we're all guilty of it. Billy Bob over here may have, a little soreness in his back. Come on, get back in there. You can go kind of do those kind of things. Well, things are a little bit different now, right, Sarah? I mean, because we've all gone through that. So-and-so will be okay. Give him a couple salt tablets and we can put it back out there. I know I'm really dating myself, but that's really kind of the way it was, right?
Right.
And it's not that way anymore, thank goodness, right?
Right. We've just come far enough in the profession, in the medical practices, that we understand the more you take care of your body, the more effort that the student athlete is going to be able to give you, and they will actually be able to play for you longer if we actually take care of the body. Whereas before we were just, taping it up, sitting them back out with a couple ibuprofen.
Yeah, I tell you what, the maturation in your field and the continuing education has really, really enhanced, I think, the overall care of the athlete. And I think the coaches have had probably more of a difficult time adapting to, especially if you're an older coach, from the way it used to be. And Tony, I guess I'm going to poke you in on this one, because you were probably in that situation. Oh, come on, he's going to be okay, right? How many times have you said that? I've said that.
There's no question. I mean, our relationship has been different now that I've been the AD, because I remember coaching thinking exactly what you said. Somebody comes out and they're doing this, and, you're thinking, oh, come on, you'll be okay. Let's get them through the game. And, but now that I'm the AD and I see the whole picture and I see everything, I have so much more appreciation for what Sarah does than when I coach. That's for sure. But I do think the laws that have changed and just the way it's done has been a huge improvement on everything, because it doesn't leave it up to the coach. The coach is here to understand Sarah has the last say. Our trainers have the last say when it comes to that. So there's not that battle that there used to be back in the old days, where if there was really never anything established. So you didn't really know who had that final say.
Right.
Now you know it comes from Sarah and her staff, and you can ask questions, and you can try to push the envelope a little bit, but the bottom line is it's going to end with the trainers.
Sarah, walk me through some of the dynamics. Let's say hypothetically someone goes to their local orthopedic surgeon, and they get let's say, for instance, like for me, I tore my labrum, I tore my rotator cuff, and I tore my bicep. So I went and had some screws put in, and then I went over to my buddy Fran McDonald, McDonald Physical Therapy, had my PT done there. But those kind of situations. So to walk me through how a student athlete, maybe here inside the Gates Gymnasium, goes down, turns an ankle, knee buckles or situation. Can you walk me through some of the steps that goes through from your conversation, not only with athlete, mom and dad who are in the stands or fretting like there's no tomorrow, as well as the coaches who are trying to figure out, well, what are we going to do now that so-and-so's gone? Then you got to go into that situation of talking to the doctor and then to the therapist. So can you walk me through some of those dynamics?
Sure. So we have an athlete that goes down in a volleyball game, and we're the first line to where my staff and I will assess the injury to see if that's something that we can keep in-house or if that's something that needs to be referred. We are very blessed here to work with the St. Joe Sports Medicine group have tremendous team doctors that we can either refer there, or if it's going to go more orthopedic, like your shoulder that you shared with us, working with Southbound Orthopedics with Dr. Radigan and Dr. Flynn, and they are just a good group of physicians that take care of our athletes on a daily basis, along with my staff and I. So just depending on what that initial assessment is, determines where we refer to. Very open and honest with with what we believe is going on with our athletes. Our athletes are smart now. They know that when you're hiding something from them, so we share what we believe is going on and refer accordingly.
I think there's always a dynamic that goes on there where athletes say, well, hey, I think I'm ready to go, because they're in that they have that competitive mode, and then you test them out, you do whatever you have to do on your end of things, and they may be able to do something with their trainer elsewhere, or the person who's doing rehab, and so you've got to be able to sometimes read between the lines, and say, hey, listen, I think you ought to wait a couple days instead of wanting to get back in, because student athletes, if they've got any salt in their bones, we know for a fact if they're really, really competitive, they're going to want to get out there sooner than later. And so you have to say, hey, listen, no, you got to back off. And since you are the last line of defense, I'm sure that's not a good conversation. And then if you get mom and dad involved in that can get even more ornery.
It can, yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Well, with the athletes, we just take it a day at a time. It's our job to be able to see the bigger picture, but we try to help them rein it in to just taking it one day at a time. I feel like that helps them not to get ahead of themselves. And now I try to explain to them, if it's preseason, this is preseason games. Sure. We want you ready for conference, which is when it actually matters. Parent-wise, I can't talk to the parents. So again, coming back around to HIPAA, is parents are not on our HIPAA release, so I don't have permission to talk to the parents.
Okay, a lot of other things we want to talk about here in a very short period of time, but cardiac and concussion protocols and some things are there. I know, having worked for in the National Football League the last 25 years, I've had a chance to get to understand some of the dynamics and the importance, especially in mental health. And so I know that it's a big part of what the Colts are all about, so I can speak to that from that standpoint. But can you talk about the importance of cardiac and concussion care and making sure that that moves carefully as well as smoothly?
Sure. So when our student athletes come onto campus and with their initial physical, if there's anything that is cardiac related, so you answer all the medical history questions, and if there's any red flags when it comes to cardiac, they are held out of even that initial practice until they can see the team doctor, to be able to listen to their heart, to be able to run the test, like an EKG and an echo, to make sure that they're healthy enough to be able to compete, so we don't put them ever in a position that's going to compromise their heart.
And, of course, now we get into the aspect of concussions. Concussions in a situation where that's a whole other animal today. I know the National Football League is spending millions of dollars in making sure that athletes are more protected with different types of helmets, different type of situation. Mental health is a big factor. Let's talk about that, where you're at in that. Does that come across your desk on occasion?
Concussions, yes. So we see them, thankfully not on a daily basis, but pretty frequently, whether it's on the court or whether they injure themselves in their dorm room. So it's something that's taken very seriously. They're held out of practices. They have to get clearance. We can't clear them to go back out onto the field or to the court. It has to be done by our team physician. One
of the things that just once again come from a personal standpoint, when my son was in the Marine Corps, he suffered a very, very difficult head injury, and it was one of those situations eventually costing him his military career. When you get into those type of life-changing medical issues, can you speak to how you have to sit down, or is that something that the doctor is going to sit down with the athlete and the parent? I know that that's a tough line for anybody to have to deal with, and you've got kids, so I know you can say to yourself, how would I say this to my kid, or how would I have to? I mean, because you're a mom as well as this. So can you speak to that a bit?
Sure. It's definitely a very hard conversation to have. So whether it's concussion or whether it's just a career-ending injury in itself. But again, we're there to help the athletes see a bigger picture. And whether it's, pointing out, do you want to have migraines for the rest of your life? Or do you want your memory to be affected when you're my age? Just putting it into real-life examples is how we try to do it. But it's also a conversation that not only am I having one-on-one with the student athlete, but then that's when our medical staff comes into play too, is our team physician sits down and talks with them and is very open with talking with mom and dad and making sure everybody is on the same page when it comes to the care of that athlete.
Yeah, traumatic brain injury is what my son Randall went through, and I'd say right now that's been life altering, not only for him as well as his kids and his wife. So let's just hope those kind of situations don't come through your office here, because those are very, very difficult. Let's talk about a couple of guys who you've got working with you here. Brandon Bosch, I remember Double B when he was playing baseball, a tremendous college athlete, and then Brent Brulette is your other go-to guy. Let's talk about how you guys kind of work in concert together, because not everybody can be at every event simultaneously.
Right.
How do you do it all?
So, unfortunately, we can't be at every event, but we try to take care of our in-season sports. And so we're at every home in-season competition. We're at most practices, if not all of them. And then if time allows, then that's when we cover the non-traditional, like fall baseball games or lacrosse games, that sort of thing.
Tony, I know from your perspective, when you have someone who's been around the block a couple times and who you trust, you have to have that as part of your curriculum here. And Sarah's one that you feel comfortable and have for some time now.
No, for sure. And I think the other thing that we need to talk about with what she does and the other two gentlemen with Brandon and Brant, but the training room is a place where our athletes hang out, and they love to be there, not just for the opportunity to work on their rehab, whatever it might be, but it's a sounding board. It's a safe place where they can go and have conversations. So the mentoring and just the whole involvement that takes place in the training rooms, both of them with the two guys and with Sarah, is invaluable, because it's just another layer. They can talk to coaches, they can talk to their captains, but when there's another really good sounding board that they have, like Sarah and those other two guys, it's invaluable for our culture. It just helps our culture all the way around, and it allows us to continue to give our student athletes the best possible experience we can.
Sarah, hypothetically speaking, do you see or hear an athlete come in and say, hey, listen, I'm just not ready to go, and I'm afraid to talk to coach about this. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to compete at the level. I mean, once again, those paternal instincts are going to take over at some point in time. Is that safe to say?
Oh, absolutely.
How do you keep an open mind and say, hey, listen, I'm all ears?
Yeah, just listening is a huge part. Letting them vent, letting them share what's on their heart and their mind, helping them think through the situation through their emotions, and really trying to get what is the actual problem that's going on. Is it in the classroom? Is it with a roommate? Is it with a boyfriend, girlfriend, that sort of thing, and helping them work through that. And if it's something that puts them in a situation to where it's not safe to practice, then okay. Then being not only a sounding board, but also being a messenger and helping convey that to the coach as well.
Tony, I know that there are some coaches in this group that if I'm in the building, they have a recruit on campus. Hey, let me introduce you to Paul Condry. He's the voice of the Pilots for the last quarter century, that type of situation. I'm sure that at some point in time that the athletes that are coming here, and Sarah's in the building or Bo's in the building or whatever the case may be, that you run into those situations where, hey, listen, let me introduce you to Sarah, because this is going to be someone who's going to play a pivotal role in your son or your daughter's life at some time.
Right. Oh, for sure. And what it does, I hope our listeners hear this very clearly, is what it does is it just shows you the culture all the way way through.
Sure.
And I think when you talk about that, it's easy to talk about that from the men's basketball team or the women's basketball team, whatever team, because that's the locker room.
Right.
But what we really strive for here at Bethel is to have that in every capacity. So whether it be our academics, whether it be our trainers, and Sarah does a phenomenal job of that. That's why she needs to be introduced to those kids when they come on campus as recruits, because they're going to be working with her all the time. Luke's in the same situation. I mean, they need to know who the sports information people are, because he's going to be the one promoting them. So that culture that we really strive for really permeates everything that we do.
Well, that's been fun to visit with Sarah here today. Best of luck to both Brant and Brandon as they work with Sarah. Tony, we'll be getting together again next month. A sneak preview of things coming on the horizon. We've got men's and women's basketball that's going to be on our clearer vision. Your thoughts on those teams are here. I've got press releases from the guys. We're going to be having our media day come out up here real soon, but I know I know it's safe for me to say this. That's probably your favorite time of the year.
Well, I tell you, we got everything going on then. So, yeah, it's just around the corner. You know, cross country is going to have their big home meet coming up here in October. All these fall sports we just talked about are all going to be involved in their conference and national tournaments. So that'll be a busy time. Men's and women's basketball and swimming all starting up here in the winter. And then when you look even past that, and these are things we're doing daily now. We're going to be hosting the NAI National Swim Meet coming up here, and I know it seems like a long way away in March, but from my perspective, it feels like it's next week. So we have a lot of planning to do and a lot of things that we want to make that the best event we possibly can.
And also put on your calendar May 7th right here inside our broadcast location, as we'll have the Northern Indiana Fellowship of Christian Athletes Luncheon. That's something that we want to get on everybody's calendar as well, too. That's an exciting time of the year. I know I was blessed to speak at that on occasion. I know you've had some great speakers over the years on that.
Yeah, it's a special day. So as we have all of our FCA huddled groups that could possibly come out, it's a business oriented luncheon. So we have a lot of our donors and just business people that are interested in Bethel and then with FCA coming out that day as well.
Okay, Sarah, great to be with you. Thanks for all you've done here for all the athletes and the coaches. I know that you're an invaluable resource there.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Tony, well, that's going to do it for another go-around. You ready to go again?
Ready to go. Ready to get moving.
All right. But that's going to do it for our program here today. A special thanks to the legendary Luke Schrock and Tanner Camp for their great work here today, as well as Andrew Kirksey, our editor and videographer. That's going to do it for our coverage of Bethel University Athletics and the Tony Natali Show here, version number 2, year 2. For all of us at Regional Radio Sports, I'm Paul Condry. God bless you all. Good night, everyone.